Okay, hi, welcome back. I had this idea of trying to go read 3 horror books that all seem very interesting but also very different, and sort of review it and see how I like that little peek into the genre, because I don't really read a lot of them. They're not like classics per se, but they seem interesting because I get very scared easily. Literally, like today at work, I was going out of the office because I was on my break. And there was a coworker there, and I open the door and I don't see him, and then I see him and I freak out, and then it's stuff like that, and I'm always jumping. And we went to Falkirk, we saw A Quiet Place 2, and I was jumping the whole time from the jump scares, and I knew it was coming because it was hella obvious, but then Bill kept being like, "Are you okay?" I'm like, "Yeah, no, I'm fine, it's just gonna be a long movie," all that, but here we are, still alive, so I can't really complain. But yeah, so I guess the 3 books that I want to read is Mr. Be Gone by Clive Barker, oh god, Horror Store, and then it's, if I can grab it, House of Leaves. I talked about it in another video recently. Now I'm actually gonna read it. I don't really know where to place this. I think it's supposed to be creepy. So those 3 seem like a very good, interesting mix of horror that isn't just the books everyone has read, although I have read a couple Stephen King. I'm blanking, but I don't read a lot of horror. Oh, I did read the U ones. I guess they're more thriller, so thriller slash horror, whatever. And right now I am reading it. I'm 65% of the way through right now or something, so that's fun. For amount of scared I am for this, it's not really living up, not gonna lie. It's a lot of work to get a little bit of something, but interesting, and it's 50 years old, so cool. So yeah, I guess besides Stephen King and stuff like that, I haven't really read a bunch of horror thriller books and stuff besides Stephen King and then the U ones. It's not really my go-to because I want to escape versus being scared again, which you're already scared by life, so why add to it? But yeah, so I'll just check in once I've finished the books. Literally 5 minutes ago I finished Mr. Be Gone. It's sort of this demon's trapped in this book, this actual book, and he's telling you his story of how he got there, and he's sort of yo, burn the book, and in the back it's saying yo, burn this book, please and thank you. Really interesting. I love Clive Barker, and I've had many conversations with my friend's dad about him, and I just need to be I need to read more of his books. But I didn't know that he wrote horror as his main subject. He also does a lot of art and stuff, and he filmed a movie, a couple of them. They're really good. I think Hellraiser or something, what Pinhead character, he did the first one and then he left, but this is just a standalone, so not scary, and really interesting. Really enjoyed it. Not really that scary, but I do like the take of adding religion to horror, and how the scary side could be the angels and stuff and not just the demons, because I think my friend's dad was saying the story of how Clive and a bunch of other horror novelists were at a conference, and it's a Q&A, so eventually they get fans asking questions, and he goes, and one asks, "Oh, what was the scariest book that you guys have ever read?" And Clive Barker goes, "Oh, the Bible," completely serious. And then another dude up there, I forget his name, he was like, "You know what, I as bad as it sounds, I gotta go with what Clive said." So that's really interesting, that sort of almost 180, or redirection of what scary is and stuff like that. Yeah, I don't know, it's just very interesting how his take on horror, I guess, is very different from how Stephen King does it. So I definitely did enjoy that, and it is an easier read, and it's a very new concept. I really liked it. So it was nice reading a horror book that wasn't necessarily really, really scary. I know it's the reason, that's the reason why you read horror books, but it's I like the more thought-provoking stuff. I want to like a Magic, another thing he wrote, there's a lot of more philosophical stuff you can gnaw and you can think about, you can sit with. I really like that versus just having book that ends once the pages end, if that makes sense. But yeah, so I'll catch you up when I've read the other 2 books. Okay, it's been a few days, but I finally finished like Horror Store, and I actually thoroughly enjoyed it. At first I was like, okay, it's a bit weird setup, it's like really weird pages and oh, there's a couple pages like that, but it's like how it's laid out, and I was just like, didn't know what really to expect. And I saw on Goodreads people were like, oh, I hated it, or like, decent idea but like wasn't executed well, and I was just like, oh no, what am I getting myself into? But I got pretty scary. I did like the idea, I did like the backstory to everything, and the execution wasn't half bad, so I did enjoy it. It is like cliche, but like you knew that going into it, because it's like tells you in the summary that like it is classic horror story, like horror, like haunted house story, but now in like an IKEA ripoff, where they call it the Orsk or something. So that was really cool, and it was a weird coincidence that part of like the prison and stuff, they kept mentioning Panopticon and that kind of prison design and stuff happened in Ohio when I read the Panopticon by Jenny Fagan, something like that. And again, it deals with that whole idea of the constant surveillance of the Panopticon jails. So it's like literally within like the past 2 months, I've read 2 or 3 months, I've read 2 books that have now mentioned it, and sort of dealt with those themes, but in like different ways. How like one was about commentary on the foster care system set in Scotland, and on like modern day like surveillance and all of that, and a bit more whimsical and mystical, while you have like a horror story. I don't know, it's cool how they've both taken their own interpretations of like, how can we take this one idea and make it something more. But I really did like the book, not to say like how really scary, so I guess I'd give it like 4 out of 5. I don't know what it's missing, but it's really enjoyable, really liked it. I think it just dragged in some places, but overall we like her. Oh Jesus. And now we are on to the last and final book of this sort of tasting of recent horror books I've gotten that seem different and cool, is House of Leaves. It is like the thickest one, and the one I know like the least about, and it's like, it doesn't really seem like it's like anything else out there, like no other conventions, no other books to relate it to, and all this stuff. But I'm excited. Probably take me a good couple of days because of work and everything, but once I've finished her, I'll check in, and then I can rank them and everything and see how it goes. Okay, hello, I am finally done with House of Leaves. I don't even know how to begin with this book. It was very cool. I don't know how long it took Mark or whatever to write this, to come up with it, to like plan it, but it's really interesting. Part of me still like, is this real, is this fake? But like, it does sort of read like a textbook, but like there's a lot of like footnotes, and like you're reading this, you're sort of just like, what's happening? But it's just like all this stuff sort of like slowly builds up. I think that's the point. I think that's what they wanted to get at. Really cool. It took me a little longer than I thought to read, but pages are big, a lot of footnotes, and it's a lot of just to like ingest at one time. But there were points where I definitely got spooked and everything. Still, fabulous book. If you want something a bit different and a bit more intellectual a little bit, but still like has creepy vibes, definitely think this is like a good book. And if you want one just to sort of like sink into and explore, because even now I'm like, I want to go online and just start looking at what people thought of this and just like explore it online and everything, because I'm sure there's a lot of stuff that I missed, like clues and connections and stuff. But I think that is a cool experience that you can with a book, that you can find other people that like online can actually like explore and still talk about and still unpack, like people in the book have, the different videotapes and what would happen and stuff. I don't know, I think it was really interesting and cool overall. But as far as ranking the 3, go a little bit back and forth, but I guess as like 3rd place would be Horror Store, like interesting take and everything, but it was just like a horror story and stuff. So like on that fact, I think it was the one I liked the least out of all, even though I like them all pretty well. Then I think I would probably go House of Leaves, just by the fact that it's so long that if you don't have a lot of time and just energy to invest, it's hard to even get anywhere decent with the story. It's like 700 pages, and it's hard to read at points, and like it's a stylistic choice, but then like it's really thick, and it reads like a textbook, so like getting flashbacks to the school year, and it's summer, so ew. And then I'd probably say Clive Barker's Mr. Be Gone, because I liked the story itself and it was a little bit creepy, but not really, but it's still like of those like themes and stuff, and then there is more for you to like explore and dive into it. But yeah, so I don't know if you classify all these as horrors or thrillers or whatever, but as far as being a bit more creepy, a bit more like in that genre that I don't typically explore a lot and read frequently, it was nice to sort of get 3 very different and unique takes on stories, from just style to like tropes to just like actual storyline material and whatnot. Yeah, so I hope you enjoyed all the books. If you have any good recommendations as far as like horror and thriller books goes, let me know. I'd be interested to see like what else loved and everything, because I don't really know where to start with these genres half the time that you don't frequent. And then I hope to see you guys next time, and I hope you're doing well in the meantime, and I'll see you soon.